What's going on, guys? Here on this very late night um, live video here. So, as you know, in Virginia, they're going to be taking down, or they're in the process of taking down a Robert E. Lee statue. And you have a lot of people in the South outraged about this, even people that are not in the South, right? They're angry. They can't believe it. Um, Like, come on, this is a piece of history. How dare you do this to history and to heritage and this, that, and the third, right? I mean, they're just going all out. Okay, they're just they're angry. They're lighting up torches at night, and they say, "Oh, this is homage to the dead." It's not. It's totally not to, intimidate people because we don't we don't have a history with the Klan, going around with torches, or anything like that. You know what I mean? We're gonna wink, wink, keep it real, but we're not really keep it real, right? So here's the thing. First of all, right, number one, let's be real about this, okay? And let's really talk about what this is about. Don't worry about it. We're not going to be politically correct. We're done being politically correct, right? Good. I'm glad, right? That way I could just shoot it like it is with no filter and just tell you what it is, okay? Number one, the height of hypocrisy, right? The same people that tell Native Americans to get over it, that tell blacks to get over slavery, they're the same people that say, Hispanics should just get over the lands that were stolen. Just get over it. Just get over it all. Just let's move on. It's a clean slate. Let's move forward, right? The A majority of the people that say this, right? Look at them. That they're reenacting a war that happened over a century ago, right? They are, constantly in love with these figures of a side of the war that lost. Okay, um, and they also make up the reasons why they were at war because they don't want to admit that they were on the wrong side of the war. When you really look at it, now there's a lot of nuance when it comes to the Civil War. It's not like they were fighting for this and that's it. Well, no, right? There is some truth to what the South is saying, but overall, though, the reality and the fact that they can't admit, all right, the main reason of the war and what it was for. All you have to do, honestly, is instead of saying, in my opinion, this, or in my opinion, it wasn't about that. Really? All you have to do, this is all you have to do. Fuck whatever they told you in school. Okay? Okay, fuck whatever Richard Spencer and all these other idiots are telling you. Okay, the hell with whoever else is telling you shit. If you went to a school in the South, okay, in the North, West, East, I don't give a shit where you got your history from. All you have to do is read the Declaration of Causes of Seceding from the States. That's all you have to do. They tell you why they seceded. You don't have to listen to anybody else. That's all. Yeah, that's all you got to do, right? Now, many of them are a lot more elaborate. Like Georgia's is long as hell. Okay, Georgia's is long, but we have to be honest and bring up some of the things that they said. Okay, so we're gonna go over Georgia first, all right? Okay, and get to that part. It's a very long reason of secession, all right? And by the way, I just want to be clear. It's not like they spoke in code talk or nothing like that. They weren't saying we're like they do today. Like, oh, it's heritage. Like, that's not how they were talking. Back in the day, at the very least, they were just flat out honest as to why they're doing shit. Okay, I just want to make sure we understand that. Okay. Now tell me, if it had nothing to do with slavery, right? Tell me why they would put this in the reason for secession then. And why, by the way, why they call the party Lincoln when I'm about to call it. All right? You tell me why. If it had nothing to do with it, then you answer that question. All these classes saw the like they give all like it's like I swear to God, it's like 5 fucking paragraphs, long paragraphs, just to get to this part. All these clauses saw this and felt it and cast about for a few allies. The anti-slavery sentiment of the North offered the best chance for success. An anti-slavery party must necessarily look to the North alone for support. But a united North was now strong enough to control the government in all of its departments, and a sectional party was therefore determined upon. Time and issues upon slavery were necessary to its completion and final triumph. The feeling of anti-slavery, which was well known, was very general among the people of the North, had been long dormant or passive and needed only a question to arouse into aggressive activity. This question was before us. We had acquired a large territory by a successful war with Mexico. Congress had governed it. How, in relation to slavery, was the question then demanding a solution? This state of facts gave form and shape to the anti-slavery sentiment throughout the North, and the conflict began. Northern anti-slavery men of all parties asserted the right to exclude slavery from the territory by congressional legislation and demanded the prompt and efficient exercise of this power at the end. So let me stop right there. They're already calling the party, they didn't say Republican, and they said anti-slavery party. That's what they said. That the anti-slavery movement was becoming so hostile now that how dare they try to get rid of slavery when we're at the brink of expanding territory and this cheap labor, we need it. Just because the people in the North don't need it, well, we need it. So fuck the North. That's basically what they're saying. No, but it had nothing to do with that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next state. And there's more of this, by the way. Right? And for those that don't understand this, when the Civil War was happening, not long before that, okay, there was the Mexican-American War, with the United States, where they took some land, right? Before that, there was the the Texas Revolution was a little more complex, but what it was, and in Lincoln's own words, was land grabbing. Okay, but that's a whole nother story. If you look at what was happening, all this expansion that was happening, okay, the South was their economy largely depended on slavery, all right? And the argument here is, well, of course the North, doesn't care whether slavery is abolished or not, but we do. We need slavery, was the argument they were making. When they say that they seceded for survival, when they say that they seceded for states' rights, it all comes down to slavery, okay? And they did not want it abolished. That's what it was. Right, so Georgia one's long. We don't got time to read all that. Okay, let's go to Mississippi. All right, let me get to a part that just the Mississippi doesn't fuck around, and they just went straight to it. So let's go to read the Declaration of Immediate Causes which induce and justify the secession of the state of Mississippi from the federal union. In the monumentous step which our state has taken of dissolving its connection with a government which we so long formed a part, it is but just that we should declare prominent reasons which have induced our course. Our position is truly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. Its labor supplies the product which constitute by far the largest and most important portions of commerce of the earth. These products are peculiar to the climate verging on the tropical regions, and by an imperious law of nature, none but the the black race can bear exposure to the tropical sun. These products have become necessities of the world, and a blow to slavery is a blow of commerce and civilization. Uh, it had nothing to do with slavery. How could anybody read that and say, oh, they're crazy, man? It had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with it? Really? I don't think I have to read any more about Mississippi, do I? I think we can move on with Mississippi. Let's read South Carolina. I mean, maybe South Carolina makes it clear and says, oh, it has nothing to do with the slavery thing. That's just a side thing. It's just states' rights, right? Okay, let's go ahead and read that. Right? Declaration of immediate causes which induce and justify the secession of South Carolina from the Federal Union. All right, let's get to the sweet part here. You know, the best part is how South Carolina is arguing for, you know, that being free and independent is important. You know, but you know, it's the irony is unbelievable, right? You know, South Carolina was a little bit down there, man. So, well, I'm still scrolling here. These things are long, so and you can find them. Okay, you can search these; that they're not hard to find. All right, so I'm still scrolling here. So this is live. So forgive me. All right. By the way, Mississippi is crazy, man. That's language you just wouldn't hear today. You know what I mean? You just wouldn't. But that's insane. I don't know. They're mainly saying they're joining the other states. So for what it's worth, the making a lot of arguments. By the way, South Carolina about. Here we go. Okay, I knew it was going to come up at some point. You know, the general government, as a common agent, passed laws to carry into effect these stipulations of the states. Well, what states? Oh, it's about states' rights, right? For many years, these laws were executed, but an increasing hostility on the part of the non-slaveholding states to the institution of slavery has led to a disregard of their obligations, and the laws of the general government have ceased to affect the objects of the Constitution. So a lot of this mumbo jumbo I just skipped over, all right, it basically set that up. Meaning we put up with a lot of shit from you guys. But once you non-slave holding fucking states started, you know, getting involved with our slavery and telling us we can't do slavery, then you cross the line. So we got to leave. That's basically what this was, right? They felt that they can, you know, because of the expansions, right, that from the land that they took from Mexico, that there was going to be a lot of prosperity for them if they continued this way with the slavery, right? And with or without the northern states. Okay, if they had their way, this will be a whole nother country today, you know? The state of New Jersey at an early day passed a law in conformity with her constitutional obligation, but the current of anti-slavery feeling that led to her more recently to enact laws which render inoperative the remedies provided by her own law and by the laws of Congress. I keep hearing a lot of all these this anti-slavery feelings, and this new anti-slavery thing. I don't know. I don't think I like it. I got to get out of here. Peace. Right. I think they saw the writing on the wall, and secession was their only way here. Oh, good state of Texas. This is the state I'm from. Right. Texas was a very young state at the time. Right. There was the Texas Revolution happened. Texas was its own country for a little bit, did not succeed, and then eventually joined the Union. Then the Confederacy, right? The Texas one is not that long, and the Texas one, um, it makes it pretty clear too, right? So let me see if I can pull this up. So the Declaration of Causes, which impelled the state of Texas to secede from the federal union. The government of the United States, by certain joint resolutions bearing date the first day of March in the year AD 1845, proposed a Republic of Texas, then a free, sovereign, and independent union. The annexation of the latter to the former as one co-equal states thereof. Okay, so that's basically telling you in a pretty more sophisticated way what I just said before that, right? Um, let's get to the good parts. Well, well, well. But remember, I tell you guys, this is not a lot. This is not like double. This is not like code talk, right? So, all right. So Texas abandoned her separate national existence and consented to become one of the Confederate Union to promote her welfare, ensure domestic tranquility, and secure more substantially the blessings of peace and liberty to her people. She was received into the Confederacy with her own constitution, under the guarantee of the federal constitution and the compact of annexation. That she should enjoy these blessings, she was received as a commonwealth holding, maintaining, and protecting the institution known as Negro slavery. The servitude of the African to the white race within her limits, a relation that has existed from the first settlements of her wilderness by the white race, and which her people intended should exist in all future time. Her institutions and geographical position established the strongest ties between her and other slaveholding states of the Confederacy. The geographic position, basically, they're talking about what I talked about. Okay, all this land, all right, and they were going to make um, that we're going to have a lot of prosperity according to them because hey, we're free to own slaves, so we're going to do what we want, right? Um, so to continue, these ties have been straightened by association. But what has been the course of the government of the United States and the people of authorities of the non-slave holding states, which our connection with them, it's kind of hard to make an argument that this had nothing to do with slavery when you reach it like this. Because it's honestly, it's not like they're, I mean, I really wish the people defending Confederacy would just talk like this. I mean, just, I haven't read anything that says anything about, oh, this is totally about, our culture. That's it, We, when we advert the course of individual non-slave holding states and that a majority of their citizens, our grievances assume far greater magnitude. It goes on to name the states that are not the slave holding states, like they're bad people or something. You know, in all the non-slave holding states, in violation of good faith and comity with which should exist between entirely distinct nations. In other words, You guys don't want slaves. We want slaves. That let's just become two different countries, and we'll just call it even. Like right. And you get to keep all the land we just stole from Mexico. We'll keep that. We're going to take advantage of that. Right. Tell me. This part right here. All right. Let me get to the beginning here. Southern states and their beneficent and system of African slavery, proclaiming and debasing doctrine of equality of all men, irrespective of race or color, a doctrine at war with nature, in opposition to the existence of mankind, and in violation of the plainest revelations of divine law. They demand the Negro slavery throughout the Confederacy, the recognition of political equality between the white and the Negro races, to avow their determination to press on their crusade against us, so long the Negro slave remains in these states. For years, past this abolition organization has been actively sowing the seeds of discord through the Union and has rendered the federal Congress the arena for spreading firebrands and hatred between slaveholding and non-slaveholding states. All right, the Texas is pretty. I think we would all agree. They're pretty. Straightforward about that. All right, let's talk about Virginia. The state of Virginia. But come on, Virginia's way up there, right? This is, by the way, where they were holding the torches, right? So I'm sure they're going to say it's about culture and states' rights and has nothing to do with slavery, right? All right. Let's get to the good parts here. By the way, you know what I find funny when they're claiming oppression and, and freedom and all this shit, but then in the same breath they're talking about slavery, and defending it. That's insane to me. All right, so forgive me here while I scroll through. You know what? The Virginia one's kind of short, but let's just kind of read over it, okay? Virginia, the secession ordinance. An ordinance to repeal the ratification of the Constitution of the United States of America by the state of Virginia and to resume all rights and powers granted under said Constitution. The people of Virginia, by the way, Virginia is one of the few states not called a state; it's called the Commonwealth. But whatever. The people of Virginia, in their ratification of the Constitution of the United States of America, adopted by them in convention on the 25th day of June in the year of our Lord 1788, having declared that the powers granted under the said Constitution were derived from the people of the United States and might be resumed whensoever the same should be perverted to their injury and oppression, and the federal government having perverted said powers, not only to the injury to the people of Virginia, but to the oppression of southern slaveholding states. If it had nothing to do with that, why do they keep saying that? Can somebody answer this question? Does anybody know? Oh, it's just what they called themselves back then. Like really? I don't know. A party was called the non-slavery party. Like I didn't know that. I don't know that was an official name, or that's just what they called them. It was like a little bit of an insult. I don't know. Right? But there you go. All right. There's other reasons of secession you could find. Right? They're not that hard to find. To be honest with you, you could find these. Just about every single one mentions slavery. Every single one mentions the benefits of the South having slaves. Okay, many of them are very blatant in saying. I mean, the one from I forgot which one it was. Was this the South Carolina one or talking about? No, we need black slaves. They're the ones that can work out in the sun. Like that's their purpose, right? I mean, that's basically what they said. Like flat out. Like this is not like some shit that's being made up. You can actually look for these things and read them. Every single one of them talks about it. So don't give me this revisionist history and no, the North was aggressive and they're the ones that started it. Like first of all, I don't give a fuck who started. That's number one, right? No, because there's all these disputes, right? Oh, but they did this, they did that, but this is all that matters, okay? I don't care if the North was being deceiving and just using that as slavery as an excuse to, you know, keep you guys in the Union. I don't give a fuck, right? I have no sympathy for you because it's clear. I don't care how much you feel like I'll never forget, man. I was in I was a sophomore in high school. I had a history class, right? I sat down and there was a Southern teacher that came to my school, had moved to El Paso with her husband, and she was a history teacher. And everything was good till we got to the Civil War, right? And I just heard her say things that I just knew weren't true, and it was frustrating because, whenever it came to writing papers, it's I would try to stay with a textbook, but textbooks are not very good, by the way. These reasons of secession were not give. You won't see these in Texas. Okay, textbooks. You will not see these in schools in the South, or you won't see that. Okay, they won't give you. I don't even think that they really go that deep in high school with this shit, right? There was more of this was like from college, but back to okay, to this teacher. So she swore like I mean the way she had such an anger for Abraham Lincoln, and she had such anger for the North, like the Union, right? She had a lot of anger towards it. Now, keep in mind, this is like the Civil War. This is like a long time ago, right? Um, and she just had this anger, and she just kept presenting to us the South like the victim. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the South, did not want war. It was within their rights to get out of the Union if they wanted to, and the whole nine, right? Now, some make that argument, but keep in mind that the United States, and it's kind of that's why there's nuance to this, had just taken land from Mexico, right? The Confederacy wanted to expand to that land with slavery. Okay, so this idea that they could just leave if they want, well, they were going to take land they had already basically robbed. So to put it this way, right? Let's say you go rob somebody, right? Two of you do it. Let's say you and your friend go rob somebody or whatever, right? That's wrong, right? Let's say that's wrong. But nonetheless, you go ahead and do your own thing, and then you start deciding, well, what should we do with this money? And what your friend wants to do with it is like not a very nice thing. Okay, he wants to sell women into sex slaves or something. Right? You're like, listen, bro, come on, we're not gonna do that. Come on, we're not gonna do that with our money. And then he says, well, okay, I'll take the money then. I'll take the money. And you're going to be like, well, no, you're not taking the money. I want my part. Right? Well, what do you mean? We robbed it together. Right? So that's basically what happened here. Now, granted, um, yes, it was war, right? So people died, right? And people say things like, and here's what gets me, right? I believe it was, I don't have the number in front of me, so it's like 300 to 400,000, people died in the Civil War. Okay. Now, one thing that always gets me is when they say it's 300,000 Americans, because like that should put some emphasis on it, because I know what they mean by that. Right? If when I say, well, you killed millions of Native Americans, I always get, I mean, that's in the past, bro. I mean, what's done's done. We can't, fucking feel guilty about that forever. And I'm just like, what? So millions of people doesn't outrage you, but 400,000 does. Let's say 400,000 is a lot. It is. But millions is more, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's not act like this isn't the case. Another argument I've heard is, well, the North over exaggerated. I mean, it's slavery would have gone away on its own. Really? I mean, there's no evidence. Like by now, 2017 maybe, but for how long? How long was it going to last? Another 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 60 years? I mean, it's the Civil Rights Act didn't pass in the 1960s. And that was when slavery had been abolished for decades. And this was a lot of and it's by no coincidence in many cases, states in the South that were fighting against the Civil Rights Act. Because that in the 60s is when the parties flipped, by the way, right? So the Republicans ran this Southern strategy and took over the South until this day under Nixon, right? And I'm trying to understand, okay? Like I really am. Because I'm trying to get to the root of, and I know what it is, but what these people are outraged about, okay? Like, don't you know that so-called Confederate flag that you guys fly around, that's not even the Confederate flag. Now, if you knew history, you would know that, okay? The beautiful thing about history, if you know it, it's not debatable. Like it is what it is, dude. Right? So that was a battle flag. That flag was literally non-existent in this country as far as having a presence or being part of your quote unquote heritage until the civil rights started. Till Congress started passing laws saying that, other people are not, 3/5 of a person, but they're actually a full person. Until the Civil Rights Act started, where you couldn't just tell somebody to go to the back of the bus, right? When you couldn't just let somebody tell somebody you can't serve them at a restaurant. Okay, that's when this flag, this battle flag, suddenly appeared, and it was mainly in southern states, and they started putting it in state houses. It was a rebellious gesture during the Civil War, is what it was. So you guys have like you're when you say, "Oh, this is my heritage," this is my like, what are you talking about? If you want to claim it, then go ahead, dude. Like you claim whatever you want, but we have to call a spade, and we got to call it what it is. That's what it was. That's when the flag emerged. You don't believe me? Just look it up, right? No, but that's not what it represents me. Like, look, man, it could mean to you whatever you want it to mean. Maybe you grew up and your granddad had that flag and you like the way it looks, and you may not be a racist person, you're a good person, but you just love that flag. But not everybody's gonna look at it the same way you do. So if somebody looks at it and says, "Yeah, that what that flag means to me," and they tell you how they feel, you can't get mad about it. Like it really is what it is. Now a lot of people that fly the Confederate flag always say the same thing. Like, well, what about all those atrocities made with the American flag? Well, you're right. You're very right. Maybe we shouldn't force football players to stand and pledge allegiance to the fucking flag. They don't fucking want to at the start of a football game. You know, maybe when a Native American says, "Yeah, fuck your flag," then maybe you should cut them some slack. Maybe you should get off their back with the whole, "Hey man, why you stuck in the past? Oh, politically correct bullshit." Then maybe you should get off their fucking back, right? But it doesn't take away the fact that you calling it the Confederate flag, number one, is historically inaccurate. That's number one. That's not the Confederate flag. That was a battle war flag. That's what that was. And when that came up in state houses, that was in response to the Civil Rights Act. Okay? So with that said, this is D-Style. This has been a nice education of history for you. And I'm out. Peace.